Are you curious about how to use Phenibut to reduce your anxiety in social situations? Maybe you've heard of Phenibut, you've wanted to try it, but you're a little bit nervous because of what you've heard about the potential withdrawal symptoms. Well, in this video, I'm going to explain to you everything that you need to know about how to use Phenibut and when exactly to take it for maximum results. So stick around. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, Phenibut was developed in the 1970s by Russia to help astronauts when they went into space to make them more relaxed. Because obviously going on a space shuttle in the 70s could probably be a little bit nerve-wracking. So it kind of dropped off the scene until a couple years ago when the whole nootropics craze started. And if you're watching this video, you probably know a lot about nootropics, or you're researching at least, which is good. You know, we can get into like the chemical aspects of it, but this is not a video that's going to go into the science of it. This video is just going to explain the practical effects, what you're actually going to feel and how often you can take it. So I personally have taken Phenibut successfully for a very long time, and whereas most of the information that you'll read online will be about people telling you how you can only take it once a week, once every 2 weeks, I would take it every single day for years, you know, and I would take 1 gram a day, right? Now, this goes against what a lot of the stuff that you read, where people will say, no, if you take it for a long time and you stop taking it, you'll have really bad withdrawals. Now, I never had any withdrawals except for one time when I actually ran out, or when I traveled somewhere and I forgot my Phenibut at home. At that time, I was taking about 1 gram a day, and I noticed that around 48 hours after I had taken my last dose, I started to feel very anxious, very irritable, and I had a terrible headache. Right? Now, these symptoms went away about 2 days later, but it was very uncomfortable. Now, there's a very simple way to avoid Phenibut withdrawal, and that is to taper. So, for example, if I was taking 1 gram a day, and let's say I wanted to stop taking it, what I would do is, you know, the next day I would drop down to 900 grams, the next day 700, 600, 500, 400, 300, until I was taking 100 grams a day, which is basically nothing. And then the difference from 100 to 0 is negligible. You're not even going to feel it. And by then, withdrawal symptoms completely gone. Now, if you're the type of person, you know, you have no self-control and you say, wow, 1 gram feels good, I'm going to take 2 grams and then 3 grams. And before you know it, you're taking 10 grams a day and like, you know, you run out because you're irresponsible. This is probably not for you. But if you're a responsible adult, you have a job, you have responsibilities, you have obligations, and you know that you can control yourself and take the same amount every single day, Phenibut is amazing, right? It totally changes your attitude in social situations to the point where you just feel comfortable making that joke that maybe you wouldn't make if you hadn't taken it, right? It just kind of loosens you up in a way that no other drug really does, except for maybe Xanax. But in my personal experience, Xanax has a lot of other side effects, like it makes you way too tired, and I would also get like really weird like anger fits on Xanax, where I would just lose my temper for like a second and have an outburst and punch my steering wheel or something. So I personally prefer Phenibut. It's great for social interactions. There are a few side effects that I've noticed that are not so good. Nothing crazy, but I noticed that my memory got much worse on Phenibut, right? People would tell me that we had conversations that I didn't remember, which is, you know, only after a few days. I would forget stuff about work. I would forget to email people. I would forget certain, you know, responsibilities that I had towards my clients. And it would also make me a little bit more tired. So I would have a little bit less energy than I normally would. So there's definitely a trade-off there. It's not this like miracle drug that's going to make your life better in a million different ways. I mean, it will, but there are trade-offs, right? Like with anything in life. One other benefit that I thought was very good was that it improves your sleep quality. So if you're the type of person you have trouble sleeping, then it can be very good for you to help kind of knock you out. Now, I don't personally have any trouble sleeping at all, but I've just noticed that with Phenibut, I sleep even better. Like I sleep like a baby, sometimes even oversleep sometimes. One more thing that it can do is it can make you a little bit dumb, right? So yeah, on the one hand, it will reduce your social anxiety, but it will slightly reduce your reaction time and reaction time in conversation as well. So yeah, you might be a little bit looser and a little bit more good-natured, but in my experience, maybe you won't have maybe you won't be as sharp as you were if you weren't taking it. Now there's ways to balance this out. Like let's say you also take some Noopept or some Paracetam, that will kind of boost your mental sharpness back up to probably even a higher level. But that's up to you if you want to mess with that stuff. In terms of dosage, I would say if you've never taken it before and you're very sensitive, like I have a very sensitive system. I normally eat once a day or once every 2 days. So my body is always kind of empty, and anything that I take, I generally feel quite a lot. Like I can get by on a very low dose of anything, even though I weigh, what do I weigh now? Like 175 pounds, I'm 6 feet tall, you know, still have a very sensitive system, which I like. But if you have a sensitive system, I would say start around 500 grams. If you are an experienced, you know, drug user, let's just call it, substance imbiber, then, you know, you can start with 1 gram. It's up to you. I would say between 500 and 1 gram. I've personally found that anything over 1 gram is like a little too much. I experimented with taking 1,500 grams a day, and I definitely felt like very loose and very friendly, but it was almost like too much for a normal day. It was like just too much, if that makes sense. I guess the best way to explain it would be that I didn't feel as productive. Like I was too loose socially to the point where it's almost like drinking at work, right? Like, okay, maybe you like drinking, you know, alcohol, having a few beers, but if you're like too drunk at work, like it's just not good. You know, you don't want to be that sloppy. And that's how I kind of felt on 1,500 grams. So that's basically it. I would say Phenibut is totally safe to take every single day. You might get flamed for this in the comments, oh, the withdrawals, this and that. But as long as you taper when you want to stop taking it, you'll be fine, okay? If you have the self-control, if you're mature, if you're mature enough to do that when you try a new substance, which I would hope that most people who are trying experimental drugs from Russia that they buy on the internet are, you know, enough to do, I would hope that, you know, you are. But if you're not, then I would probably just say just stay away from it. Like I know some people who are definitely not mature enough to start taking that. They abuse everything, and I would never tell them to start taking something like this just because it's, you know, they're headed for trouble. But yeah, totally fine to take every single day. If you take it every day for a while, you'll probably see eventually that you want to stop taking it because, yeah, okay, you're looser socially, but maybe it interferes with your work in some way like it did with me. And I just thought to myself, I'm forgetting too many things. Like, yeah, I'm more like social, but so what? Like, I gotta make money, you know what I mean? So that's been my experience with Phenibut. If you guys have had your own experience and you wanna share that, leave a comment down below. Make sure you like, subscribe. And if you have any questions about my experience and how it's been with Phenibut specifically, feel free to ask me. Peace.